You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill.
You subscribe to Haven't Seen It on Apple or Spotify. You follow us on Twitter and Instagram at SeenItPod.
You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
The Matrix, coming up next. Haven't Seen It with Tim Sestito and Tommy Tevene. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Thank you all so much for listening to us today. Tommy, how'd you like that cold open?
Pretty good. I like the computer voice right there. So I think you did a good job.
I didn't tell him I was going to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you all again for listening to us today. As we said in the beginning, like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We didn't mention it last episode, so we're mentioning it twice to make up for the fact that we didn't plug ourselves.
We really want to promote ourselves. We forgot to do that last time for some reason. So yeah, Seen It Pod on Twitter and Instagram, and give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you do, and write a review too. It would be really good.
Yeah, it would be very helpful. Tommy, The Matrix.
Yeah,
so this is an interesting movie. It's 1999, the turn of the millennium. When was the first time you saw The Matrix?
So The Matrix has never been a movie that has been in my life, really. I only saw this movie the first time, honestly, 3 years ago, in 2019. So just somehow avoided me for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it also kind of avoided me as well, because I just saw it for the first time this past week. So
Timmy's the one that hasn't seen it.
Yeah, I have not seen the podcast, or not the podcast. I have not seen the movie, and we're covering it on the podcast.
There you go.
Little verbal vomit, but that's okay. This was my first time seeing The Matrix.
Human beings are a disease, and we are the cure. Now,
so you're here to save the world.
everything you know about reality,
So what do you need? Guns. Lots of guns.
everything you believe about the future,
Buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy, because Kansas is going bye-bye.
will be a thing of the past.
No one can be told what the Matrix is.
Whoa.
You have to see it for yourself.
The Matrix.
The Matrix, the Wachowski sisters' magnum opus, easily their most acclaimed film, starring Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, and Carrie-Anne Moss. And Tommy, so you first saw it in 2019. How many times would you say you've seen it since?
So this watch this past Monday was my 3rd time seeing it. So I saw it in 2018, and then when the trailer came out for the new one, that day at work, I was like, let me go watch The Matrix when it's a little slower. So,
Yeah, no.
what about you?
Well, I mean, I said it before, but it was the first time I watched it was a week ago. Thank you very much, Tommy. It's one of those weird movies. Like, I remember, because we were in elementary school when this came out. I was 6 when this came out.
Mhm.
It's kind of viewed as Star Wars for a new generation. And the really funny thing is that there was actually a new Star Wars in theaters at the same time for a new generation. And one of them has aged like a fine wine, and the other one is The Phantom Menace. So it's kind of interesting when you think about it like that, because it's follows that classic hero's journey, which we'll get to in a little later. It puts, and it kind of, and again, similar to Star Wars, it has groundbreaking visuals, which the modern audience was not used to seeing. Like, the only close thing I can think of is Jurassic Park in terms of visual, but they're so drastically different in terms
Well, in
of
terms
style.
of action, you also have like a lot of the John Woo movies that took place after this, or before this rather. The people were also in. It's one of those things that for us, like as like 90s kids, when The Matrix really was like one of those things that was so much in pop culture that it was one of those movies that like you almost felt like you just knew what happened in that movie already because of the cultural osmosis, where like so many freaking movies like in the early 2000s and like late 90s just ended up parodying Matrix. Like you had Shrek do it, Scary Movie do it, just like any random comedy had a lazy Matrix reference.
Did you ever play the game Conker's Bad Fur Day on the N64?
Yeah, that game was great.
Yeah, they parody the Matrix in an N64 game. If you want to know how much the Matrix kind of broke into pop culture, just to put it on a candle. But if you kind of compare it back to Star Wars did the exact same thing. They made a disco version of the Star Wars theme song. People wore buttons that said "May the Force be with you." Very, very interesting stuff. But so like when I'm watching it now for the first time, I was kind of taken aback at how there's more under the hood of this movie than just like a simple action story in terms of what the Matrix itself symbolizes. And I think it does it in that allows it to carry itself over some, like I don't think Keanu's great in this movie. Like I think he's fine, but like compare it to John Wick, where I think he stands out a little more in those movies. Like this one, he's like wallpaper.
Well, John Wick also fits his personality
for sure. But this is so not
exactly.
He feels so out of place. Like if I think of
it's like John Wick is like a perfect science soldier, and then this character, like literally in the trailer, they had to play off Keanu being like a dumb stoner, where they're like him going like, "Oh, this is the Matrix." Whoa, like far out, bro.
Yeah, yeah, and well, Speed was his big break. Like he had Bill and Ted's, which was like kind of a cult hit, but Speed was the first like box office superstar where he was like just an action hero. Speed, fantastic movie, but
great movie too.
Keanu didn't want to be an action star kind of after that, and kind of started chasing like more, like if you look at his work after Speed, it's a lot of like dramas and a lot of like flopped movies. Like one movie he was on, which was Johnny Mnemonic, which I seen clips of online, but it's trying to be an internet movie similar to a lot of other like internet computer based movies of the 90s, where this technology is new and people have it, but they don't know how to actually tell a story about it.
So I'm gonna list off some of the movies that Keanu was in between Speed and Matrix right now. So obviously you just said John Mnemonic, and then tell me if you've heard of any of these movies. A Walk in the Clouds.
Oh, classic.
No. Chain Reaction.
Chain Reaction to My Heart. What a love story.
Yeah. What the fuck is that? Feeling Minnesota right now. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, it was about the Minnesota Vikings losing in the playoffs. It's a real tough movie if you're a sports fan.
Wait, was it really?
No, Tommy, come on.
I don't know what Feeling Minnesota could be about. And then we have The Last Time I Committed Suicide. No idea, never heard of that. And then the only movie of note in between Speed and Matrix they did was The Devil's Advocate with the great Al Pacino. But other than that, I mean, like really, like I just listed off like what 4 or 5 movies that like have not no one's really heard of in about 30 years.
Wasn't the Suicide one? It was like a biopic of Kurt Cobain.
Oh Jesus Christ. It's like, well, what? Going for it today. It's a random movie with
too soon.
Too soon, yeah, too soon. 30 years too soon.
But yeah, so it was one of those first good movies, and as you listed, like he kind of fell off the map, and I think it's part of the reason why they were able to like afford him for this movie, even though it was high budget, and the Wachowskis weren't like super well regarded at this time either. But
I mean, really, all the Wachowskis were known was they made a movie called like Bound, I think, like 4 years before, and again, a movie no one's ever heard of.
Yeah, well, but I think they did some like effects and other things too for a couple other movies, but which led it to them. Tommy, did you know how they got this movie greenlit?
Well, that was my response, I guess. I guess that special effects. I mean, they just pitched it to fucking everywhere, and somehow someone took it up.
no. So they wrote the script, and then they had an artist make a 600-page graphic novel of the script to pitch it, because it was so visually distinct that no one can read that off the page and give you, here's $40 million to make a movie. Like, it just wouldn't happen like that, especially on, at the time, fairly unknown directors. But I think it's part of why it works. I think the visual effects of the movie like still stand out to me. Like
Nothing really seems staged when you're watching this. I mean, for the most part.
It's the same lesson of Jurassic Park. When you combine your effects, when a lot of the action is wire fu and animation, and when you combine those effects, it makes it so that the audience can't tell what's real and what's fake, and it makes it more believable. Whereas I have a lot of issues with a lot of modern movies, and we'll get to that later, but they kind of have all gone CG, and it just, like your eye can tell when it's not real, and
especially when it's bad CGI. Because I mean, like, I remember like that Will Smith movie, I Am Legend, where like the vampires in that are all CGI and it looks terrible and takes you out immediately.
I remember when that movie came out and everybody was just like, this could, dude, I Am Legend's could be the greatest movie that's ever been made. And I like bought into the hype, and then I saw it, and I was like 14. So I had to, like, if people liked it, I couldn't say that I disliked it. But I remember being like, this movie sucks. Like, why am I watching this? He just walks around Grand Central. Like, I don't know what's going on.
I remember liking that movie, but again, I was 14 when I saw it, and I haven't seen it since. But yeah, it was just one of those things where, like, in the movie, if they made those monsters like more practical effect, would have been looked cooler. And that's the lesson you got to learn over and over again in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That, like, sometimes you got to restrain yourself a little bit.
Yeah, well, for sure. And I think part of what makes The Matrix work compared to its first sequels, Reloaded and Revolutions, is how contained of a story it is. Like, if they never made another, if this didn't do well at the box office and it just came out like this, and people are picking it up 20 years later saying like, oh my God, this great movie, all you would think of it is that Morpheus is basically the god of outside of the Matrix. Like, he is the only force, where the other movies kind of expand on the entire world of outside of the Matrix, and it explores deeper and deeper philosophical elements and intertwines them way more in the story, where I think the Matrix is a kung fu movie set in a computer that makes you question things that you can easily relate to, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's I mean, this movie in a way, it kind of ends in like a way where it's very satisfying. Like, Neo pretty much gets like his superhero swings off. Like in the Spider-Man movies, when Toby like swings into camera, into frame, and like, here's my superhero shot. And that's pretty much the end of this movie, where it goes Keanu fly into the air, and then all of a sudden we play some shitty new metal.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things about this movie that, like, even though I do like this movie, the style, speaking of stuff as age, like, I just do not like the cyberpunk, like, weird aesthetic that they have in this movie. It just doesn't work for me as much.
Well, I mean, I don't like it. Like, I'm not gonna wear it, but I like it in the movie. It's so distinct, dude. Like, movies imitated it for 6 years. Like from after 99 to like 05, 06. Like, every Hollywood movie, every action movie was chasing that look, and none of them even come close.
It's one of those things. It does work in the movie with Keanu, but like in the beginning of the movie, when you have Keanu meets like this random group of people that are about to go to a bar.
The White Rabbit.
The White Rabbit is that, and he basically goes to this bar, and you see everyone like dancing around to like something out of like a Twisted Metal video game, where it's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Dude, you didn't know that's what the late 90s were like? It was just like everybody dressed in black, and they went into techno clubs and just stared sulkily at people. Oh wait, that's just going to like a regular club, I feel like.
Maybe. I mean, I don't mind the all black, but it's just that something about it was just like, okay, whatever. Let's move on.
Yeah, uh, I think the style is obvious. It dates it,
Yeah.
obviously, but it also, I think it's interesting, and I think this kind of clip from Agent Smith, where he has one of his monologues, he kind of describes it pretty well.
Did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world where none suffered, where everyone would be happy? And it was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost. Some believed that we lacked the programming language to describe your perfect world, but I believe that as a species, human beings define their reality through misery and suffering, which is why the Matrix was redesigned to this, the peak of your civilization. And I say your civilization because as soon as we started thinking for you, it really became our civilization, which is, of course, what this is all about. Evolution, Morpheus. Evolution. Like the dinosaur. Look out that window. You had your time. The future is our world, Morpheus. The future is our time.
I feel like the one thing in that monologue that kind of really sets the style of the Matrix apart is they're saying, okay, this year, the year 1999, is the peak of humanity, where we turned our reliance onto AI far more than we ever should have as a species. And due to our never-ending need for conflict, that's what led to the AI taking over the real world and using humans to power their civilization, and they power it through the Matrix. So when you're saying like, oh, it's dated, but I guess in that sense, it's the style of
it's also like the very much the paranoia of the era, where this is right around the time of Y2K, obviously right around the corner. You had so many movies like Terminator, the Terminator series, especially, where it's just like paranoia about reliance on machines and like, hey, what if we're like kind of just like going over to a tipping point right here? So, and in a way, it does fit it firmly within that 99 time frame.
yeah. Well, Y2K is one of those interesting ones where I just think I'm like, what the hell happened? Like,
why was everyone convinced that like just because it was going to turn 2000, the computers couldn't handle it?
yeah, it's one of the dumber. Listen, there's been a lot of conspiracy theories brought to light out of late, none of which I will completely note. But
Yep.
boy, Y2K makes them look a lot smarter, huh?
Y2K was definitely a different one.
Yeah, and well, I also find it interesting. I think one thing that helps the Matrix in its age is that it kind of gets where we're going. Like I think the Wachowskis very clearly saw where humanity, like our actual humanity, was heading, not to the point in the movie, obviously, but from the year 1999 to the year 2022, our reliance on technology is quadrupled, if not more, like times 1,000 compared to
Like
what
think
it
about it.
was.
In the 90s, you still had some time without your screens, and now for smartphones, I mean, yeah, I'm guilty of it, especially. We've all like looked at our phones fucking all the time now.
Tommy, you had to read the back. Remember, like when you were a kid and you like read the instructions of the manual of like a shampoo bottle of like your L'Oreal for kids, little fishy.
Yeah.
Like you probably read what was in those No More Tears, and like you and I, we both had no clue what any of those words in the ingredients meant. But
that's how bored we were.
we were sitting there, and that's what we did. I remember because I used to not be able to get my Game Boy when during school weeks my mom wouldn't let me play Monday through Thursday. I would hide it in the bathroom, and I would just that was my time. That was my me time.
That was your Game Boy time.
That was my game. That was my Game Boy time, and don't you
That's
dare knock.
that's what you're doing for 30 minutes in there.
Yeah. Well, it's true.
Yeah.
Just playing some Pokemon.
Gotta catch them all.
So the Matrix.
So back to the Matrix. Making this real comfortable for Timmy here.
I'm not the one. I'm not uncomfortable.
No.
So I kind of want to keep talking about the philosophy of the film. Tommy, did you know what the main basis, like the philosophical theory that the Matrix was based off of?
Like simulation theory. I know there's a specific name. I'm forgetting it.
It's Plato's The Allegory of the Cave. Inside a cave are people who were born there and spent their entire lives there. They are chained to a wall and stuck looking at it. They know nothing of a world outside of what they can see. And it molds into his analogy of the sun. The nature of reality and the knowledge concerning it. The sun is knowledge and the light is truth. And if you end up crawling out of that cave and seeing the light, you will clear your eyes and you will start to see things differently. And I think it's a really basic concept. I know in terms of politics, the red pill, blue pill thing has been completely cannibalized. I know the Wachowskis.
Yeah, they've lost the complete meaning of it now, where it's just like, okay, it's gone out of the control of the Wachowskis at this point with the red pill, blue pill.
I think I think Elon Musk tweeted something about it, and she tweeted back at him to fuck off.
Just can you, that must be the worst. Someone your work of art just gets fucking taken over by people you just don't agree with, and you're like, oh fuck.
See, I think I disagree with that, and not to put myself in their shoes or what they can feel completely different, but I think there's something to a theory of the red pill and the blue pill where you can throw it onto almost so many different beliefs and so many walks of life can relate to it. So many people from different backgrounds, different thoughts, different everything are able to kind of connect it, and it's a really good metaphor for a lot of things, and concerning our reality and people thinking that we live in a simulation, which I don't think, by the way.
I don't think either.
That's good.
So
I don't know if I could do a podcast with a simulation theory guy.
Yeah. What my face just fucking morphs into goddamn Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
Hello, Timmy.
Hello, Mr. Anderson.
Hello, Mr. Stastino. So one of the things I thought was funny when doing research of trivia and stuff for this movie was that the Wachowskis made it so every one of the actors were able to not only just understand but explain the Matrix. Not just as a film, but just as a philosophy. So they gave them a bunch of fucking philosophy reading, by simulacra, and the simulation is required reading. Keanu had to figure it out. I'm probably butchering this pronunciation.
That was very clearly the first time you've ever pronounced those words. Not even.
I'll admit it. 100%.
Without even a question of a doubt, the first time you said those words.
How was my first attempt? Was it just awful?
I mean, it was wonderful in the best way, Tommy.
In my own special way. Yeah, but anyways, all the cast.
So, Simulacra and Simulation, a 1981 philosophical treatise by philosopher Jean Baudrillard. Come on, Tommy. I just wanted to stunt on you a little bit, to be completely honest.
Yeah, well.
I didn't read it. I just was able to pronounce it a little better than you were, because it was still probably wrong. Well, and if it was wrong, let us know in the leave a 5-star review and tell me I was wrong.
Yeah, leave us a comment on the Instagram page or Twitter, so we'll probably be told that we're dumbasses.
We're not desperate.
No. I do find it funny that so apparently when Keanu was before, when they pitched a script to Keanu, before they even went into the script, they started talking to him about all the philosophy behind the movie and those different readings and stuff like that. You gotta imagine at first was Keanu, it was just a very extremely awkward meeting at first, where the guy was what the fuck are these people talking about?
No, I think that's why he probably loved it. we read off the movies Keanu did between Speed and this.
He had nothing going for him.
He was not that he had nothing going for him. He did a movie with suicide in the title. He was clearly trying to do something he was trying to, reach he wanted to be an actor, he wanted to make film, not movies, Tommy. He wanted to make film. He's an artist.
Yeah.
And I respect that passion for Keanu, but he's maybe the strangest A-lister ever. He has such like a dull, chill delivery, and like I don't think he's actually like that. Like as an actor, he's not. Like imagine watching him like in like a Shakespeare play or like doing like a one-man like monologue.
He's been in Shakespeare movies, I'm pretty sure.
No, I know he has, but he just comes off very one-dimensional, and I think he like nails that one-dimensional, and I think audiences love that one dimension that he's able to.
People love like the persona that Keanu has given up over these years, and like we were saying earlier, John Wick's really played into that, where he doesn't really have to stretch his muscles. He just fits into his one lane. But I remember with Point Break, they said that there's apparently like some like film comedy improv group in California that does a stage reunion of Point Break like every year, and they pull up someone on stage to play Keanu, a new person every night, and they give them the cue cards there so they can have the same exact acting experience of Keanu in the movie. So that's
yeah.
So that's what we're going with. Don't get me wrong, I love Keanu, and he knows his lane very well. But when he tries to get out of that, like with the Dracula movie, where he tries a British accent and goes terribly.
I have offended you with my ignorance, Count. I've seen many strange things already. Bloody wolves chasing me through some blue inferno.
Yeah, it's a very. I think it's like the perfect culmination of the 90s. Like, just did you watch the Woodstock 99 documentary on HBO?
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it was good. And I think the interesting thing was hearing a lot of people talk about how like the late 90s, and I think they're talking more musically, but I think it can kind of carry over into a lot of other avenues of how like there was no culture. Everything was just like loud and explosive, and
well, it's like the biggest bands were like Korn and like Limp Bizkit at the time.
But it's but I'm talking about it being like loud and
just aggressive. Yeah,
it was so aggressive. And I think one thing that The Matrix does really well in its pacing is that it has the opening action scene with Carrie-Anne Moss, which I think is like such a good way to open it. It's not the hero being introduced to you. It's not Neo or Mr. Anderson. It's the female lead Trinity, and it's a great action sequence, and it just shows how intimidating and how menacing the agents and Agent Smith are. I mean, Hugo Weaving, like, I mean, you heard it in that clip before. Like, he is just
it's a great way to drop you in and just show you like how fucking like high the stakes are and how crazy Agent Smith is alone, where it's just like, okay, we're in this world, let's go, that's awesome. Okay, crazy shit's gonna happen, this is gonna be an insane action movie, get in, buckle your fucking seatbelt, get ready for the Matrix.
Yeah, and then it takes like an hour and 20 minutes for them to kind of re-enter the Matrix, because like the real action of the movie doesn't pick up until after the Oracle scene. It's kind of it's a lot of exposition dump, pretty much.
It's weird when watching it, because there's some movies when I'm watching like an exposition dump and I check out, it almost becomes like the worst case of it is like when they're explaining it to you and it just comes off like you're in some bullshit class that you don't even care about, where it's just like, what's going on here? Like, can I get out of here right now? And The Matrix, to its credit, has essentially like a 30-40 minute scene maybe of just Morpheus, Lawrence Fishburne, just explaining the Matrix and what it is to Keanu for like 30-40 minutes. And somehow they did it in a way that keeps you engaged throughout and just really keeps up a decent pace with exposition, which is all the dialogue at that point.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church. when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
So that was his first explanation of the Matrix to Neo in the famous red pill, blue pill scene, which I got a very rare cut of for the beginning. It was actually an error on Lawrence Fishburne's part. He didn't really mean to speak
It was
like
a
that.
weird line reading right there.
It was a tick. It was a tick. He, they were concerned about Tourette's, but he ended up being okay. It was just, it was a one-off.
So,
But no, you're right, and I think part of why that works is it's so much. It's a lot of tell, but they're showing you so much while they're doing it. Like, think about it's like a 10-minute kung fu scene in that 40 minutes, and it's just all awesome kung fu while it's all exposition dump. So if you really don't want to pay attention, you don't really have to pay attention. But since the visual is so engaging, you're probably going to.
exactly. It's one of those things that keeps the camera engaged. It keeps the action engaged. It's not just like one of my least favorite uses of exposition recently. And Timmy, I know you love this movie. Is in Dune, the new Dune movie. Yeah, and I'm gonna be a hater for a second, but in the new Dune movie, there's some scenes where you do exposition dumps. To me,
No, Tommy, you watch this movie on your iPad at work. I do not want to hear that you're like, I was so bored. I was answering emails, and it was an exposition dump.
No, what I'm saying is the exposition in that movie came off very much in the movie where it was the main character, and it felt like he was literally looking up like a YouTube tutorial of or a YouTube background story of what happened. And it wasn't engaging to me. It was just very boring. And the Matrix does not seem like that to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about Dune to talk more about it, but from what I've read of Dune, which is a couple of chapters, it's a lot. Like the first couple of chapters are just like exposition, and I think you need to provide that that movie needs that context because it's so vast. If you're just not going to know what's going on if you don't get it somehow. So I think having Paul educate himself, which is educating the audience, is the only way to do it while being true to the actual story and not making it some jammed in
It seemed like they kind of had a no-win scenario because the way
it is no win. And I mean, when you watch it on a 10-inch screen, it really doesn't pay off. But when you see it in when you see it in a true IMAX screen with true audience, and your phone turned off, like Tommy is texting me like, I'm watching Dune, this movie sucks. I'm like, well, you're texting me, so you're not really watching it. But I digress. Oh, but I was pausing it. I was pausing it, dude. I swear
I was paused when I was doing it. So it's regardless, a shitty exposition scene isn't going to change if it's on IMAX or not. So that's why I feel about
it. Yes, it does, because
it's still the same shitty exposition dialogue. So we'll digress. That'll be in our future episode of Dune, where I just really piss off Timmy throughout. So can't wait. Get ready. Down the line, but this is about the Matrix, not about Dune.
That is true. This is a podcast about the Matrix.
So back to great exposition scenes like there are in the Matrix. So
the ones in Ghostbusters 2016.
Oh, there's a reference. We did it.
Yeah, I don't really know if there were. It feels like there would be though.
Back to the Matrix. So red pill or blue pill. Red pill essentially is you find out what the Matrix is and your life is going to change for all. And blue pill is you just stay where you are. You forget all this happened, and your life just goes on, and the story ends here. So, which would you take?
I'm a little disappointed you have to even ask me, Tommy, but I'm taking the red pill.
All right.
I know. I mean, how could you? I mean, I get it, like the form of comfort of the blue pill, the disbelief of it, but for me, I don't know, there's something.
Well, so the question is more than anything is this me getting this news from Morpheus, or is this me as Neo getting the news as Morpheus. Because if it's the first one, I'm gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna be able to do fucking anything anyways about the Matrix. So fuck, give me the blue pill. I don't give a shit.
Hey, Tommy, you know who else said that the first time they heard about the Matrix?
What?
Neo. He did it in the movie. He said, "Oh, I can't do that." So he wasn't a believer. And then what did he start to do, Tommy?
Start to believe.
He started to believe.
That is true. So,
and you know what we do on this podcast? We believe in our friends. We believe in ourselves.
All right. But on a similar level, so there is one character played by Joey Pantala. Did I just fuck up his name? Joey Pants. Cypher. Where Cypher pretty much the main crux of the climax is that Cypher sold out his team, and he's been revealed that about the Matrix, and hates the fact that he knows about the Matrix as a thing, and wants to go back to his life that's blissfully unaware. And while I don't agree with his methods, I do see kind of being like his point where it's just like, okay, like in the Matrix, like I thought that life was good, but like instead you wake up into this reality where it's like it's gray and dull and fucking depressing. You know, there's no fucking grass, no fucking like fun pretty much in the actual Matrix world, like the real world.
Yeah, I mean, he's a quitter though. That's what he is. He's a quitter. He's a baby. He was not happy that it was taking so long to progress. And it's kind of weird. I mean, his whole thing, because it's the structure of it, because as we said, like there's so much exposition, like 30, 40 minutes of exposition. Like he's what sets the plot in motion. Like the remaining plot of the movie is very short after the exposition because they have to explain so much of what the Matrix is to the audience.
Well, apparently Warner Brothers like demanded that they put that into script because they were like, this is the script that no one understands. You need to fucking have this shit. And you can see why.
Right. They're right. Imagine if you just cut like half of those scenes out. It just doesn't work. Like the Radiant Lady in the Red sequence, I think it helps establish a lot of the threat of the Smiths. Like I like that it's always shown throughout the movie. Like even Joey Pants, he offers Keanu a drink and says, listen, if you ever face to face with an agent, just run.
Yeah.
Like
no, they do a great job of that, just like showing like pretty much everything, the story beats that you need to know. And it's just why like kind of this movie works and kind of still holds up, because if you had it very clunky, if like those scenes of Morpheus was just like a 30-minute monologue of just Morpheus, still camera on him, just explain everything, this movie would be awful. No one would like this movie.
No, it would be, you'd have to make it like a documentary where it just starts flashing back to Morpheus's life. Like it starts with like the main speech, and then it's just like Morpheus was born on Zion in the year 2147.
It's like to go to video games, it's like when Metal Gear Solid has like 40-minute cutscenes or just exposition dumps, and it feels like a history lesson.
Oh, I've never played a Metal Gear Solid game, but I can't imagine sitting through 40 minutes of exposition on a video game.
I thank God they're skippable, because immediately I'm like, okay, fuck this. I don't need to know all this. I don't care. So we don't need that in our movies either.
No. But you know what we do need in movies, Tommy?
What's that?
We need stars.
I am a star. I'm a star, I'm a star, I'm a star. I am a big, bright, shining star.
Who is the star of the movie? Who stole the show?
Well, I feel like the obvious answer would probably be Keanu, but
No,
really,
he's the star of the movie.
He's literally the star of the
movie. He doesn't steal it.
He's the star of the movie. But if anyone, it'd probably just be Morpheus, because like really, like Lawrence Fishburne just like put in a great performance, and like we said, he carries a lot of the exposition and a lot of dialogue that could, in the wrong hands, could have been very clunky, very boring, just very like teachery. Where he just does it in a great way, in a very interesting and cool way. And Morpheus is the coolest character in the movie, easily.
I wish there was just a cut of the movie with Keanu explaining the Matrix to Lawrence Fishburne.
That's so wild, bro. Like
the Matrix, the Matrix is all around us.
It's all around us, dude.
Yeah, I think he is the winner of the movie. Like I think he gets the biggest bump. It revitalizes his career again. But for me, I think it's Hugo Weaving. I love him as Agent Smith. It started his run of nerddom for about the next 10 years where he was just in every nerd IP over that decade.
Like Lord of the Rings and Transformers and everything.
and he did V for Vendetta with the Wachowskis.
Oh yeah. So they might very much like each other.
Yeah, he's so menacing. He just, his voice is so stone cold and ruthless. You feel the menace, and you feel the distance, and like he feels like a robot. He feels like a synth. He doesn't feel like one of us, where, in the wrong hands. Imagine Keanu as Agent Smith. No, you can't.
No, you don't want to.
Sorry, Keanu, we love you, but boy, you got outclassed a little bit in the acting department.
we love you, but not for your acting.
We love you for your one lane of acting.
Sure.
Are you ready, comedy partner? Waka waka.
Does this movie work as a Muppet adaptation?
Absolutely fucking not. No, I need to see one scene of Fozzie Bear as Morpheus explain to Kermit to the Matrix.
Now, see, the only scene I need is I just need like all the bullet time, like the first bullet time sequence of Keanu leaning back, but with Kermit and like his arms flailing backwards in a black coat.
I'm shocked that hasn't been in a fucking like Muppets movie.
I'm sure the clip. I'm sure some nerdy fan has made that.
It seems like the very obvious joke that the Muppets would have made in the early 2000s.
Yeah, but they didn't really make it. This isn't a podcast about the Muppets, but they didn't really make anything in the early 2000s.
It's a part of the podcast, but yeah,
it is a part of the podcast. It's a part of our souls,
Kermit.
But
yeah.
But rating, Tommy, what do you think?
All right, so The Matrix, like I said, was never really a movie that was a part of my life. I saw one of the first sequels before I saw the first one, and though on rewatch, though, like I said, it's really engages you throughout. And even though you have like exposition scenes, which shouldn't be good on a rewatch, but somehow still work on rewatchable, and you have the amazing action scenes, bullet time sequences, all of it. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars. So, what about you, Timmy?
I'm going to echo you in a 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's a fantastic movie. I think it is. We joked about it before, but it is the Star Wars for a new generation, for that Gen X era. It really captured that audience's imagination. It was parodied beyond belief, and it still holds up as an action movie with a little bit under the hood kind of going into it. And I think it's really solid, and I think it really carries like an entire franchise when you think about it. And it's kind of like Star Wars in that regard, where like 1 or 2 movies kind of carry a whole lot of other things.
It's one of those things that a lot of these movies, when like they get parodied to death, like they probably don't hold up as well. But the bullet time sequence, even though it's not as powerful as it probably was in the theaters back then, still fucking works.
For sure. Matrix Resurrections coming up next.
Why does this feel like a memory? Like I have been waiting my whole life for you. Maybe this isn't the story we think it is.
I never believed I was the one. What do you believe?
I still know Kung Fu.
The Matrix Resurrections, rated R, in theaters and on HBO Max.
So that is the TV trailer for the new Matrix Resurrections, but I keep wanting to say rebooted, and it feels like a real like miss because of the computer pun. Do you get it, Tommy? How you reboot reboot a computer. Like I would like have.
If
like
they
that,
just went like very obvious tech pun right there.
Yeah, well, because they're rebooting the franchise, kind of. Why not just put it in the title?
Or they're doing a requel, as Scream taught us last week.
Or other movies that we're not going to mention.
A lot. So it's funny. So now we've done this. This is our 3rd week in a row where we've covered a more modern movie. And it is funny the contrast of TV trailers now just don't have a trailer voice at all. So it's just like it's weird because if you weren't watching like the screen or something like that, you'd just be like, what are these weird grunts and stuff like, or explosions in the background? Whereas like back then in the 90s, it's like, this is Spider-Man and it's coming this day and get ready because this is a guy that's a spider.
Which I think is interesting too, because I don't know about your TV watching habits, but and yours too, audience at home. But I imagine when a TV commercial comes on, you're not paying attention to the TV. You're actually going to bury your face in your phone. So I don't understand why they think we'd be more engaged in these TV trailers. Like they need more audio cues in these TV trailers. Like I feel like
more. More in the background or something like that, where it's just like we're so distracted now. We're like the second the commercial starts, I'm like, let me check what's on Instagram. Let me that's how bad my attention span is now. Not that was great before.
Wait, what were we talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Where are we? So but yes.
Matrix rebooted, aka the Matrix Resurrections. Hey, Wachowskis, if you wanna, my Venmo's at Tim-Sestito. I'll give you like $50,000 and you can use the Matrix rebooted.
Well,
change the title of it. Change the title of it.
It was interesting. It was interesting that only one of the Wachowski sisters was in this or directed this, because it was only Lana, and Lily just wasn't involved, and like apparently just said like I don't really want to bring up the past and stuff like that. So
I actually listened to an interview with Lana talking about this movie, and the Wachowskis lost both of their parents like very back to back, and Lana then lost a close friend as well, and they were grieving, and the studio had kind of been telling them back to back, telling them for every year, coming to them saying like, here's the Brinks truck, let's make another Matrix. Here's the Brinks truck, let's make another Matrix. Which I think is odd. I feel like that's how out of touch studio executives can be, where I felt like nobody was asking for a new Matrix. Like I think everybody thought it ended just right. Like it was that little window in time.
I feel like the sequels kind of killed off a lot of the interest in the movie for of the franchise.
Reloaded rocks the last one. I think having a dual release in the same year like overdid it for people in terms of just like how much of it was. And
did they come out the same year?
Yeah, they both came out in 2003. But
Jesus
I think
Christ.
But what Lana was saying was she kept having dreams of Neo and Trinity, and that was what kind of inspired her to write it, and Lily was not feeling the same way, so she did not.
What Lily said exactly was, I don't want to have to go through my transition and gone through this massive upheaval in my life, the sense of loss from my mom and dad, to want to go back to something that I'd done before. So I get that. I mean, like a lot of actors and like directors, like that's why you don't have like a lot of franchises, the original director of the first one coming back for the 2 or 3, because they're like, I've already done this. Let's move on. Let's do something else.
Well, I also think there's a very key line in the beginning of the movie between when Neo is Anderson and he's trapped in the Matrix again. And I actually think the first act is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't go more with it.
I agree. Yeah,
do something complete, because I thought they were about to do something completely different because of how self-referential it was, where I think it's an asset in this case because the Matrix is never self-referential, in that sense. Like it was so self-referential, where you were kind of saying Scream itself was self-referential. So when it becomes so expansive in itself, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't any different from the original Scream, where it was kind of jarring to see in a Matrix movie. Like
no, exactly.
Being self-referential. But the line I want to talk about is, the way that they hide the who is the alchemist? What's his name? The therapist? The
Neil
organizer?
Patrick Harris.
The Neil Patrick Harris character. He's the architect. He's the architect of the 7th iteration of the Matrix, because in Revolutions Neo destroys it, but they isolate him and they trapped him in a simulation where he developed a video game series called The Matrix. And it's just those 3 movies, and it's made him super successful at this video game company. And he's talking with his boss, who is Agent Smith, that they've paired together because they kind of have a cat and mouse game going back. And Smith says to him, I know you don't want to make a new Matrix game, but we're doing this with or without you. and I was like, oh, like I think they're talking about that Warner Brothers said like, hey, we're gonna take a shit on this with or without you. So you can either take the money and try to protect your baby or
The
don't.
whole first act, in a way, was kind of just like Lana Wachowski just being like, "Fuck you, Warner Bros. For making me do this movie." So,
They literally mention Warner Brothers by name, which I respect for letting that go through Warner Brothers. I know it was hard for you,
it did.
executives in
What scene
your.
was that?
They say like the Warner Brothers division. I think it was that scene where it's like the Warner Brothers division. Like they called them out by name
Oh,
about like the video
yeah.
games
Yeah, yeah.
studio.
So you agree. I think the strongest part of this movie and my favorite parts of the movie all take place in the first act, where they pretty much are just like, okay, like, yeah, I guess we're doing a new Matrix, guys. Like, okay, like, yeah, like, what do we like about the first Matrix? And they almost have like focus test group meetings where it's just talking about the Matrix and stuff. So in that aspect, I just do like Lana Wachowski just being very aware of like, yeah, this is bullshit too that I'm doing this, but money.
Yeah, and I think part of it too, like there was the montage of all of them developing the new Matrix and all of them explaining what the Matrix meant to them, and I'm like, oh, that definitely happened at Warner Brothers before they came to the Wachowskis. But
Yeah,
it I think it's one of those movies that I respect it for at first trying something different, but then it just did the Matrix again, where it kind of becomes uninteresting, where it's just we need to find Trinity. Like that was it.
The second act of this movie, for me, was just, it was bad. It was just very like boring to be honest. Like it was just, they did, I mean, this always happens with prequels, but it was just so more apparent like with this one, where it's just like after they spent the first act just shitting on the fact that they're doing this, they proceed to just do what they're shitting on, where they have a new Morpheus back and he does the exact same kung fu scene that we saw in the last movie. And it's just like, okay, like this isn't really adding anything new to it from what I remember.
Well, the one thing I will say that I give them credit for, where I think the cleverness was, I liked how it made sense, because like I think even Lawrence Fishburne was like, I don't understand why I wasn't asked back, and like I would have gladly come back, but they actually killed off his iteration of Morpheus. So Yaha Abdul Mateen takes over as Morpheus now, but
And
it's from the video game, so he's not actually real. And I guess since we've advanced 90 years in the future, whatever the hell they say, from when the last trilogy took over,
it was 60. It was 60 years. Yeah.
Semantics, but they say that now computer modules can now kind of exist in these like BD forms. And I thought that was like pretty cool visually, and I liked that it made sense to kind of add a little youth when you're pairing Keanu and Carrie-Anne Moss, because Keanu is weird, because John Wick, he doesn't feel that old, but boy, he felt kind of old in this one, huh?
Well,
And I
yeah,
think that was part of the point, but
they let him show his grace. Yahoo Abdul Mateen was great actually in the role, despite the fact that I was just shitting on it. He has actually been on a hell of a run of Candyman. Came out earlier this year, and he was like in the Aquaman movie. He always seems like a good welcome presence lately with like everything he's been doing. So I did like how he took the role.
he's got that Joe Burrow vibe, like just so cool. Like there's just something about when you hear the guy talk, you're just like, that's just a cool guy. Like I don't know, like why even try to fight? Like there's so much of your youth that's like, oh, that guy's not cool. Fuck him. Like
he has like the cool
talk. You're just like, it's the calm cool. It's like he's cool. He knows it. He's not flinging it in your face, but it's there. And like,
do you know how Morpheus died in canon or in the original series?
He sacrificed himself. It sounds about right.
What's funny is that he didn't. From what I read, that was that Morpheus didn't even die within the actual Matrix movies. So like the ones that people.
Yeah, he was the one who lived on, because Neo and Trinity both die in Revolutions.
They killed him off in the Matrix online video game that is apparently like some RPG that is defunct now and isn't even fucking like a thing. So like I'm pretty sure you can't even access the game right now, but it's just like they killed off Morpheus just in this random fucking game that 20 years later we're all like, what? And that's apparently a part of the fucking canon.
That's amazing. That is so like oh, Warner Brothers is like, yeah, you guys have full cut of your movie, but we have full rights on all of the extenuating properties. So, the Wachowskis were not involved in that video game production whatsoever. And they were
No,
just
apparently
like,
they were. They're just like, ah, fuck it.
they were
I'm
like,
try-
yeah, sure. Well, you know what it was. They were like, okay, the Matrix is a good way to keep a cash flow going, but this video game, but like, we're never going to make another Matrix movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll say this, to learn from Star Wars, just make some of that shit not canon. It just doesn't matter. I think canon is one of the most overrated things I've ever seen. If you enjoy that story, great. Like, does it really matter if it's in a time? It just doesn't. Like, you can just enjoy things to enjoy them. It doesn't need to be a part of like a story. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't need to be
Yeah.
all
Like the
all
Star
connecting.
Wars. Yeah.
Like they're like that fandom where they cried over books that were, like, I'm sorry, if you're gonna read, it's nice that you're reading, but don't
It's
read
just
a
like,
Star Wars book. Like, read a real book.
it's like just like if you're just be happy the fucking story exists and just like whatever, cool. Like doesn't matter if it's canon or not. Do you really want Chewbacca to die by like 2 moons?
Yeah, it's one of those like, it's to just wrap it up. It's that like the rabid fan base, like when people really make their personality revolve around being a fan of a thing because they don't know they've used it to successfully connect with people, but they can't connect with people outside of
that one little niche thing.
That one little niche thing, and it's like and like I feel bad because it's like I get it, it's nice, it's sweet, and if that's what you like, but man, I think these studios shouldn't be giving these people this much power, because I think it's also proven that, like, and I think the Disney Star Wars is a good example, like Solo, a Star Wars story, was for fanboys and it kind of sucked, and it's just, I just don't get how they could justify like you know what I mean, just like try to do new things with things. Like, it just doesn't all need to be legacy. I had an issue with the Mandalorian bringing Luke Skywalker back. I was like it could just be another Jedi. It didn't need to be Luke. It just didn't. Like, it was only Luke for the fact that it was Luke. You know what I mean? Like, it served no other function.
It was just, it was very much just like okay, right there, we're here. So it's the tricky line of, like, you want to do it sometimes, or like the fan service thing, but it'll come off as just like really bad. Like the worst example would be, I don't even know if
Ghostbusters 2016 was the worst example of bad fan service.
Mention it again. Let's go.
I mean, but it is. Like, it is.
No, exactly. Well, but I was thinking like the Marfa scene in Batman v Superman, where it's just like almost like a fan Easter egg, where Zack Snyder thought it'd be cool that people would be like, "Oh my god, yeah, that's right, both their parents' names are Martha," and it's just like, no, that was stupid. What the fuck are you talking about, Zack Snyder?
Yeah, see, my Ghostbusters 2016 is your Batman v Superman. That's just going to be the ones that we just throw out when we're talking about a bad big blockbuster.
Apparently, so if my brother's listening, he's gonna his heart got broken. So,
hey, Tommy's brother, just know it's okay to like it. You can like things that aren't good, but just know Batman v Superman, it's just not a good movie.
No comment. So,
but yeah, I think also, I just gotta say, because like we kind of talked about it in the first one, like how incredible the action is. I think The Matrix Reloaded is where it peaks. The freeway sequence is unbelievable. I know you were like, oh, I'm kind of iffy on it. And for me, because I watched Reloaded, because I really liked The Matrix, I watched Reloaded after, and I really enjoyed it until I didn't, where I thought it kind of fell apart at the end, where like he was starting to use the Force outside of the Matrix, and I was like, like you're losing me here. But I really liked the action in it, like the action is
they knew how to do a good scene.
But no, they replaced the exposition with action in that movie. Like, that's why it fucking rocks. It's just like it's like 15-minute action sequences. There's like 3 of them. It's crazy. And like you have the Keanu versus Agent Smith scene. I just kept watching it. I'm like, how is he going to get out of this? And it just kept going. I was stunned. Then you have like the kung fu scene at the French guy's mansion house where they go to get the key guy. And then you have the freeway scene, which is just insane. Like that the fact that that was filmed, executed, and still holds up to today's standards in visual effects is unbelievable, because I can't think of a movie that's done anything that cool, in terms of just an action sequence. Maybe the
Well, like
John
Mad
Wicks.
Max.
Mad Max, but Mad Max is really the only like standout though. Like John Wick is action, but it's paced so much differently because it's all about the speed and the nonstop relentlessness, where this has to have a little bit more of the adventure that I don't think John Wick necessarily needs to have. But but in the Matrix Resurrections, the action was garbage. It was awful.
So you end up watching a third one too recently?
No, I didn't end up watching the third one. It was on my queue. I just didn't have it in me.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things that like pop culture osmosis, as much as like the Matrix itself has been. Now the sequels have been gotten to that point where like you'll have on sitcoms like in Scrubs, characters saying like, "Yeah, I wish I could just forget the Matrix sequels." It just became a punchline where it's just like we don't like to talk about them. But I remember liking the second one. I thought it was all right, but like I don't know, maybe it was just because it was the first Matrix movie I saw, and it's been 15 years since I've seen two. But I do remember the highway scene being cool.
The I will say this, and like I think you can attest to this, that I tend to be a bit more critical on films,
especially sequels and IP,
and especially sequels. I thought the second one rocked. Like I thought I would give it 3 to 3.5 stars out of 5 if I was rating it right now. Like I think it rocks. I was reading about Revolutions, and it gets so deep into the philosophy. It just kind of loses itself into it, where
in a way where it's like very clunky, like we were talking about.
It was just clunky at where I felt like as I said, we were saying in the first one, like when it's just kind of under the hood in a car, like the philosophy stuff, and it's there and you can pick up on it and you can interpret it to mean what you want it to mean. It's powerful that way.
So there's one thing also I want to touch about this new movie, the new Matrix, that how forgettable so many of the characters are. Like outside of Jessica Henwick's character, which was Bugs, I don't think I could tell you the name of a single character that was not from the first Matrix movie.
Well, it's the architect. The architect is Neil Patrick Harris, but I guess the architect was in the other Matrixes. But
yeah. So yeah, exactly. Like, can you name me any other character's name that was in this movie?
Agent Smith.
Okay. Well, returning character. So but technically, I mean, it wasn't Hugo Weaving, but it's Jonathan Goff. But still,
Sonny, was Sonny a character?
Go to Wiki. You're on the Wikipedia page right now.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just. I want to guess. I don't. Not Tommy. Don't call him on the Wikipedia page, please. Jesus. Okay. What about? I feel like there wasn't.
No, exactly.
Wasn't somebody Ricky? I feel like there was a Ricky. Was there a Ricky?
I think Ricky was the first one.
Maybe.
But no, in the first movie, I mean, like on top of like the legacy characters like Agent Smith, Morpheus, you had Switch in the first movie. You had Cypress, which was Joey Pants, and then like you had so many more memorable characters, and like they really stood out. Whereas outside of Bugs, all of them kind of just like faded into the background, didn't really seem to go in the way. It's one of those things that in a requel or like a reboot like this, when they try and do the legacy characters and the new characters, there's always a delicate balance. And this one, the new Matrix movie, they're like, okay, fuck anyone that's not Keanu and Carrie-Anne Moss, essentially.
Well,
that's how it felt.
Put it this way, like compare it to Scream 5, where they put the legacy characters. The legacy characters are in the movie for 15 minutes in Scream 5. Outside of David Arquette, but he was kind of the Han Solo character, but everybody else is in it for 10-15 minutes.
Yeah,
and they play a part in the plot, but you spend 40 minutes with this entirely new cast before you even touch on the legacy characters.
Yeah, and that way, that's why I think that Scream 5 did a better job of like the requel stuff than Matrix did, where they
sure, but I liked in this one how critical they were of, like, that's what I really liked about that first act, and I'm very disappointed that it didn't go further in that direction, because I loved how critical it was. Like I was like, oh, okay, like if you're gonna be this critical and you just like imagine if this ended like Blazing Saddles, where they just break the fourth wall and they run around like the Warner Brothers lot. Like that would have been
Great.
funny. I mean, audiences would have hated it, but it turns out like audiences kind of hated this movie to begin with. So
They should have just gone like full on Gremlins too, where they're just like, let's just deconstruct everything that is about the Matrix.
it's true. Like that's what makes Gremlins 2 work so well, is like Joe Dante didn't want to make a sequel. They like kind of forced him to make the sequel, and he's like, all right, I'll make the sequel, but I'm making it my way. And he just said, all right, these were your criticisms, fuck off. This was fuck off. Like he just did what he wanted. This one felt like they felt like, Lana, we're going to give you an act to do whatever you want, and then you have to tell the Matrix again.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that okay?
We'll let you get your fucking criticisms out of the way, and then after that, give us what we fucking want. So, I mean, I did like the action in the third act, but even by the end, like, this movie, like, even plot wise, it was hard to follow like what was really happening, like what was other than like the Neo and Trinity of it all. It's like all the other characters, I was like, why should I care about this person? Why should I care about that person? And they didn't really do it at all.
See, I didn't even like the action. Like the action in the coffee shop was horror. Like that coffee shop scene was horrible, where like Trinity like wakes up in the Matrix, I guess, because like when they're doing like the stealth mission to get her out.
Well, I did like the whole like Keanu doing like the fucking almost like the Force on the helicopter.
It is the Force, Tommy.
At this point, it's the Force. He's a Jedi. Keanu kind of should be a Jedi.
Keanu would have been Keanu. I'm actually thinking like on the prequels, like how perfect would it have been if Keanu was just like a Jedi Knight in the prequels? He would have fit in those movies so perfectly. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Current day Keanu would have been like a great like Qui-Gon Jinn or something like that. I can see.
Ewan McGregor was the correct choice to cast for Obi-Wan in those movies, but my God, I wish they casted Keanu Reeves, because it would have just been so fucking funny.
Wow. You got less force, bro.
I just thought of that. That made me laugh.
and yeah, so it just becomes like fucking Obi-Wan, just a fucking idiot throughout the movies, even more so.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know, with the Matrix, but I think like I compared the first one to the original Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
But like there was like the hype for the Phantom Menace at the time, and even the Force Awakens was like unbelievable. Like people were like pooping themselves. Like people.
The Star Wars series.
People didn't give a shit that this was happening. People didn't give a fuck.
Very clearly based on the box office, but it's like Star Wars has been one of those like franchises that like has been great at just building up hype for. Like the second a new Star Wars movie comes, like I'm sure if they do episode like 10 or something like that.
I don't know. I don't know about that. The Disney one really, I think that one rubbed people the wrong way. I think the Rise of Skywalker is a piece of shit.
It is, but I still think that people are still going to fucking go.
Well, there's just such like a rabid fan base because those first 2 to 3 movies are so magical and they just carry on from, because you can show those when you're 5. Like there's a reason we didn't see these movies as kids, because you can't like imagine explaining what the Matrix is to a 7-year-old.
Yeah, it would just been like what? But it's so it's like one of those things. The Star Wars does a great job of that. And meanwhile, like I was saying earlier, the Matrix pretty much after the third movie just kind of just like ruined their own franchise, where people were like, okay, the first one's a great movie, but like, second one's all right, I guess, but I'm just like, fuck the third. And like, I don't really care what's going on in the rest of the franchise. They left a bad taste in their mouth.
Homework assignment, you have to watch Matrix Reloaded, because I think you might actually like that one more than the original Matrix, to be completely honest with you. I think that will hold your attention span, because it's not a ton of story. It's really not.
It's a lot of action.
It's a lot of action with like the story just being like philosophy, but it's not like, it doesn't really hinge on it too much. I think you would really like that.
All right, I need to rewatch it. It's been about 15 years, so I think
and I think that the parts where you're like, it'll just be followed up with like this just amazing action sequence that you're gonna be like, all right, that rules. That rocks. Like I'm in. But I didn't think this even had that. Like it was just so dull. They didn't even do bullet time. Like how do you reboot the Matrix and not do fucking bullet time?
it's just they just didn't really hit the points that we wanted to fucking see.
See, that's not my problem, because they, like, I don't go into these movies wanting to see the Matrix 1 retold to me, but they didn't even do it well. Like The Force Awakens did it well. This didn't even bother to do it well.
No, exactly. It's just like it was so weird that in the beginning of the movie, like I was so confused by like so much of the plot of like why like in the beginning of the movie it was just showing like a scene from the original Matrix over and over and over again on a loop. I don't know. I think this is like the first movie we've done on the pod where it almost was like I fell asleep the night before when I first watched this, and then the second night when I had to pick that back up today, I was like, "Fuck! It wasn't for this podcast, I would have just been fine not finishing this movie." So.
But you did, Tommy, and you should be proud of yourself because you accomplished something.
I committed.
Today.
I'm not a Cypherus. I'm not a quitter.
You're not a cipher. You're not a cipher.
Cypher,
Don't ever be. I like that you just keep, like I said, cipher, and you just like Cypherus. Yeah.
Joey Pants.
I am a star. I'm a star. I'm a star. I'm a star. I am a big, bright, shining star.
Neil Patrick Harris.
For the star, he was
he stole the show. I say the star, the steer of the show. Like, who's the guy that you'll take away from? I think it's him. Maybe Yaha Abdul, but he wasn't in it enough. I felt like
he was in the beginning, and then like he just kind of disappeared for a little bit. But Neil Patrick Harris, I mean, I don't know if we ever seen him in like a straight up antagonistic role like this. At least not that I can think of, where his character was.
I mean, Barney Stinson to All Women in New York is essentially an antagonist when you think about it.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But depends how you want to look at How I Met Your Mother. But
when you look at How I Met Your Mother, sometimes you look at Barney and you're like, oh my God, this guy's like a fucking. They even mentioned the show. He's like, just Jesus Christ, dude.
well, he works so well because when Neil Patrick Harris was casted onto that show, they were in casting originally looking for like a Jack Black to play the role of Barney. Like, they weren't looking for Neil Patrick Harris. They weren't looking for like a thin.
That wouldn't have worked.
No, I agree. Like, the show wouldn't have gotten past its first season, or Barney would have been a completely different character. But when you have because I think for the first couple of seasons he was closeted. Like, it was like an open secret, but he was kind of closeted to the public, at least. When you have a gay guy playing what a desperate straight guy would do to try to pick up chicks, it works so well because the unrelentless energy is just off the charts.
Yeah, he brought a lot to that role, but so like, you know, he's usually known for like those goofier comedic roles, like especially with like the Harold Kumar movies. I mean, I guess the closest would maybe be Gone Girl, but he wasn't really menacing in Gone Girl. I mean, like,
no, not at all. I mean, we're gonna end up covering the Batman on this show when it comes out in a month or so, and I get why he's not the Riddler in that movie, but oh my God, would he not be a great Riddler? I know it's been said before, but he would just be so good.
He'd be a good Riddler if it was going for like the kind of Joe Schumacher, like more campy tone, I feel like.
But I think with this one,
you're thinking like a Christopher Nolan version of like Riddler, but played by Neil Patrick Harris would work.
Yes, I think it would, because I think if his like diction, the way he speaks is very on top of each other, and he talks very quick, very short pauses, very rhythmic. You pair him with like a great director, and he slows down his pace of his like speech, the way he talks, I think. And just the way he sounds, I think it would come off very, very menacing. I think they kind of did that here. It wasn't as pronounced, but I think if he like let the air speak for him, I think he can, like, facially he's able to like really put on an aggressive like scorn, and that his voice can kind of carry.
Yeah, no, it's exactly. It's like as far as a villain, he was so we barely even touched upon the movie because we just did not like it that much. Yeah, but we were kind of like, oh, whatever. But Neil Patrick Harris is like essentially the main antagonist in this movie, and he's menacing. He has a great villain monologue where he tells Keanu Reeves essentially, "Here's why I'm doing everything," and like "fuck you," and he's really great at playing medicine, and I want to see him more in villain roles. I want to see him more as like, like maybe like the killer in a fucking like cop movie or something like that. He'd be great at that, I feel.
He would be good in like it's like a Zodiac serial killer kind of story.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie sucked. Trinity is now the one, and that's all you need to know about it.
So
Are you ready, comedy partner? Waka waka.
No, because I just don't ever want to watch this movie again. It does not work as a Muppet adaptation because I just don't ever want to see this movie again.
Yeah, I feel that. So the less the Muppets are involved in this movie, the better. So no.
We're gonna pretend we didn't do that drop. Tommy, give me a rating.
So the first act I thought was pretty promising, like we said before. And then the second act, it kind of lost me. Like I said, I literally fell asleep watching this movie last night, and I was perfectly fine with that. Usually I'm kind of like, fuck, like I need to go back and rewatch this movie. And I literally only did because I felt obligated to. So I was flirting with like a 2.5 at first because I was like, the first act was good. But then the more I think about it, like after that, it just was a slog of a movie. It was 2.5 hours and it didn't need to be that long. It was just not entertaining. So I'm going with like 2 out of 5. So
I'm going to be a little harsher than you. I'm going with 1.5 out of 5. And it's not even like the first act was promising. I think we kind of both agree with that. I thought we both were like, oh, if they built off of that premise, like this could have been really, really promising. But it was telling a very similar story to the original Matrix, and then not complementing it with what make the Matrix and even the Matrix Reloaded so special. Like the action, it wasn't there for me. Like there's no takeaway for me. I am not going to sit there and want to rewatch any of those fight scenes. Comes on HBO on a Sunday morning, I'm skipping over it. Like I'd have no interest in watching it again.
There wasn't really that much like visually interesting about the movie. I mean, like,
and it looked worse than the original Matrix. Like,
which is weird.
Lighting wise, yeah, it was horrible.
So, yeah, no, this is easily. I mean, granted, we're only like 5 episodes in, but this is easily the worst movie we've covered on the pod. So, without a doubt.
Yeah, by a mile. And I think it's worth your curiosity. I would say definitely if you see it on HBO Max and you're kind of curious, the first act carries its weight. I'll say it's carrying 1.25 out of those 1.5 stars I gave it. And see how you like it, because the beauty of movies is that one man's opinion doesn't really mean too much, and you might really enjoy it.
Yeah. So, but it does look like a lot of people agree to fuss because this movie is a fucking box office bomb.
No. It's a traditional box office bomb, but 140 million with a parallel release on HBO Max. That's not a bomb, my friend. That's a success.
I'm sure Warner Brothers. Opinion. Well, yeah, but I'm sure that Warner Brothers doesn't care about your opinion, so I'm sure they're not disappointed.
No, because they're calculating the stream data that it did too. They're not just calculating it off of they can't, because you can't do the dual release. Like, okay, Tommy, if Spider-Man No Way Home came out, and it's the exception, right? But if that came out on Disney Plus at the same time, how does that do at the box office?
I still think it would do pretty well. I mean, like, I'm about to look it up right now, but there's been a few movies. So, like, for example, as I pull it up, so Halloween Kills, the latest in the Halloween Michael Myers franchises, back in October, opened up with a simultaneous release on Peacock, and somehow still grossed 131.
But nobody has Peacock.
Well, regardless, but they did a simultaneous release, and it scored 130 million at the box office, which for them, I'm sure they're fucking very happy.
Yeah, because they put 10 million into it. No, yeah, listen, I'm not saying they're thrilled about the result of it, but I think you're fighting, like, they didn't get to have the IMAX screens because they were fighting with Spider-Man No Way Home. It got like 2 nights in IMAX, and it was out of IMAX.
So this came out December 16th, and when did Spider-Man come out? Is it the same week?
No, this came out the 22nd. That came out the 18th. It was the week after. But Spider-Man was doing so well that theaters couldn't kick it out of IMAX because those seats were already sold out.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like Spider-Man was the first movie I've seen in this pandemic era where it was like packed in the movie theater. Yeah. And I would have to imagine the Matrix was close to empty, or like just not really there.
I saw it in the theater, and it was already in the smallest theater possible, and that was like there was like 10 people in like a 40-seat theater, if maybe a little more seats. I
Yeah.
don't know. There were more people there than I expected, so it has that going for it. I don't want to be totally unfair to it, but it definitely didn't click with me, and it's kind of disappointing because I had seen The Matrix and The Matrix Reloaded going into this, and I really, really enjoyed those, and I had high hopes that this would at least be like 2.5 out of 5, just like, oh, okay, yeah, wet my palate. I enjoyed it enough. It was a fun 2 hours.
But yeah, no, it was just a slog. Like honestly.
But yeah, so that's it. That's The Matrix. Tommy, red pill, blue pill, quick, go.
Blue pill.
Pussy. My name's Tim.
I'm Tommy.
And we have now seen the movies.